Brundertaker keeps taking souls. IQ hears the cha-ching every time he hits a shot. And guess what? The Glizzy of the game goes to the haters. Here on Knicks Deli. Stay tuned. What's going on, everybody? I want to welcome you back to Knicks Deli, baby.
Knicks Deli edition.
Everybody knows that here at Knicks Deli, on these YouTube streets, everybody eats here at Knicks Deli. So I want to thank you for joining me. If you're here for the first time, I applaud you. Welcome. Have a seat. We're going to serve you in a short while. But I want to thank you for supporting the channel. If you like what you see, do me a favor, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, share it with your people. Let them know here in these YouTube streets, everybody eats here in Knicks Deli. So I want to thank you and appreciate your support. Next, if you're returning to the channel, my SB community. You already know.
We circling the block. We spinning the block.
We circling the block and we spinning the block. My ride or dies, my day ones. Thank you for returning. Okay? We're going to get into this. We're going to get directly into Knicks Deli and the menu and then a little bit more as well. But you know you can't have those people who support you if you don't have those people who don't. Okay? Hey.
Y'all can't beat my ass though.
We call y'all the ops. And we know you in the comment section. We know you secret shopping and watching the video, not commenting, not supporting. But guess what?
Friend or foe, we want the smoke. Alright?
So you welcome here as well. I don't care. Listen, leave your opinion. It doesn't always got to be in agreement with us, okay? But you don't got to sit there and hide, make a comment, engage. And friend or foe, we want the smoke. You're welcome here. We serve you here at Knicks Deli as well, okay? So just happy. I'm excited. Let's dive right in. I'm excited about your New York Knicks. These New York Knicks. Round of applause for our guys. Round of applause for our organization, okay? Round of applause for these New York Knicks, man. We won 6 out of the last 7 games. There was a little bit of a stretch where we were dropping some games, and then everybody was running around with their heads cut off, like the world is coming to an end and the sky is falling. And that's the reason why I was just like, you know what? Let me chill. Let me pull back. You know what I mean? And let me just chill out until game 20. Because I'm looking at the content creators. And the reason why I got a channel is because content creators do a phenomenal job. We've done a tremendous job of controlling our own narrative, giving authentic, original takes, and not listening to the major media. But we started to get a little bit like the major media, where we started kind of going over the top and really jumping off of a cliff with only one game. Only like less than 10 games. So I said, you know what? Okay, I'm going to back up and I'm not going to do a video until like game 20. Because by game 20, everybody knows you have a good sample size of what the season is going to look like, what this team is, who we are, what is our identity, all of that through the first 20 games, okay? But what I'm seeing in having the opportunity to sit down and watch these past few games is I ain't got to wait until the 20th game. I ain't got to wait till the 20th game. I've seen enough. I know what it is that I'm looking at. And I'm looking at a team that has been put together that is unaffected by fan outcry, that's unaffected by the pontificators on media, is unaffected by these fake anonymous GMs and anything across the league. This front office, this coaching staff, this group of players have outkicked the coverage anybody else put on them. They've exceeded any limitations that anybody has put on them, including Knicks fans. And they are putting something together that is going to equate to a special season. Okay? So I'm going to get into that later, but let's talk about the menu. If you're new to Knicks Deli, let me quickly explain what the menu is and how this works. Here at Knicks Deli, the menu has 4 items, okay? First item on the menu is the bacon, egg, and cheese. Everybody knows the best sandwich in the world, okay? Bacon, egg, and cheese. And you got to say it, bacon, egg, and cheese instead of bacon, egg, and cheese. They'll kick you out of the deli real quick, all right? I'll kick you out of the deli. So, bacon, egg, and cheese is the 3 things. What are the 3 players? Who are the 3 players that put together made this thing bussin'? So we're going to talk about who are the 3 players who really had great games, either in the last game or over the period of the last 2 games, because I'm going to touch a little bit between the Wizards game as well as Charlotte. But we're going to talk about 3 players that together made that thing bussin'. So the bacon, egg, and cheese is the first thing on the menu. Second thing on the menu is the dollar slice. Okay, everybody knows New York has the best pizza in the world. I said it, the best pizza in the world. Okay, but New York pizza is also a stabilizing piece of the cuisine and piece of the menu for New York for forever. Okay, so we're going to look at who is the dollar slice of the game. I mean, who is the stabilizing player that has really helped us lock in on this string of 6 out of 7 victories and help get us back on track. So we're going to talk about who is the dollar slice of the game. Now, you know, next on the menu is the chopped cheese. And the chopped cheese is relatively new to this New York menu, but the thing be bussin'. So we're going to talk about who's relatively new, either as a player or either with their contributions, or either their contributions over this period of the season. And we're going to talk about what it is that contributions did to make this thing bust and, you know, have a good season.
Hey, yo!
I know you're going to kill me, make this thing bust. All right, let's go. And then lastly, you can't have the chopped cheese. You can't have the dollar slice. You can't have the bacon, egg, and cheese if you ain't got nothing to wash that thing down with. And we call that the quarter water here at Knicks Deli. The quarter water. So that's that player that comes in and really helps give that burst of energy, that contribution that really puts us over the top and helps us secure this victory. So those are the 4 items here at Knicks Deli. And then there's one special at the very end. Just added this season, new to the menu. And we call that the Glizzy of the game.
Hey, yo!
Who gets the Glizzy of the game? The Glizzy of the game is the Dirty Dogs. Famous in New York. We've all had them until they became unpopular. But who are we going to give the Glizzy of the game? You know, somebody who may be talking sideways, all right? And they just need something to temporarily stop them from talking. So we're going to award the Glizzy of the game to somebody this season, all right? This show. So I want to thank you for joining me. We're going to hop right in. So let's start out with who gets the bacon of the bacon, egg, and cheese. And that goes to nobody other than the Brundertaker. Okay? We're going to get that to the Brundertaker. Yeah. Oh. T-shirt coming soon. Don't worry about it. I got you. Don't even worry about it. Yeah, I'm hearing people using my terms, whether it's the Brundertaker, whether it's circling the block and spinning the block on these haters. I'm hearing it. So I need to hurry up and get on my grizzle and get my T-shirts. But the Brundertaker is taking souls. He's taking souls. Why do you say that, Sheer? What are you talking about, Sheer? You know what I'm talking about. He was overlooked for the All-Star game last year several times. He was overlooked for the All-NBA team several times. He was slighted many times, no matter what the efforts he put forth last season in helping resurrect and stabilize the ship here in New York. On the New York stage, on the brightest stage, that man came in and dominated. And it's almost like they didn't believe it, or they didn't want to award him for the effort. They wanted to award him for sustainability. So they didn't give him anything. And he remembers that. So I'm telling you, I said it in the summertime. Watch Jalen Brunson and watch every point guard matchup this season. And you tell me he don't take that personally. He's making sure that there is no doubt when the time comes for people to consider who's going to start for the All-Star game, that you got to mention his name. You see how he played against Dame. If I'm being honest, the moment Dame got traded to the Eastern Conference, I'm like, damn, yo, you know that the fans are not going to look at numbers. They're going to make it a popularity contest. So they're going to try to just put Dame in there because he got fans from the West, and now he's going to have fans from the East because he is a name. And there's that anti-New York bias. So the only other way for them not to do that is to try as much as possible to be undeniable, to dominate those matchups when they come. And Jalen Brunson versus Dame Dollar, Jalen Brunson made sure he dominated. Dame Dollar did his thing too, but Jalen Brunson made sure he came and he showed up and he helped put his name on the map next to a big time guard in Dame Lillard. Okay, next was LaMelo Ball and Trae Young and soon to be Anthony Edwards. Watch these matchups. Jalen Brunson is making sure he takes it personally. He makes sure that when the marquee is on there, he is locked in and he's making his impact on the game early and often. Look at the last game as a point of reference. Look at the last game. 26 points in the first half. 26 points. And then the second half, he focused on the assists. Folks, I'm not crazy. Pay attention. When we talk about, it's so funny, man. I said over the summertime, when a lot of talk out of the side of their mouth from Trae Young on these little podcasts and Podcast P and all of these things, all these comments started coming out talking sideways about the New York Knicks. I said the people that should be taking this personally are the superstars on the team. The Juliuses or the stars on the team, the Juliuses and the Jalen Brunsons. They need to take it personally. Star on the team being Julius, superstar on the team being Jalen Brunson. I've been saying it from last year. Jalen Brunson is a superstar. We can't wait for people to start calling him a superstar. We got to start doing it ourselves. But yeah, listen, this man right here is taking it personally. Every matchup, you know he got the list on the wall. And he's just checking it off. Bust that down. Checking it off. Okay? So Jalen Brunson, the Brundertaker, is continuing to collect souls. Every matchup that he faced. Okay? 26 first half points is undeniable, bro. Three-point shooting is at the level that it was when he came into the league. People was looking at it like, yo, will he be able to sustain it? And that's why I was looking at y'all sideways after the first 6 games when y'all like, yo, what's up with Brunson? What's up with Brunson and Julius? Yo, come on. Listen, people are knocking off rust. People getting their legs back after playing international ball. But sometimes, man, listen, my Knick fan brethren, yo, y'all be wildin'.
Nah, son, nah.
You wildin', okay? Y'all got to get past all that, bro. This is the team, bro. This is the team now. And we ride or die with them no matter what. We are riding or dying with this squad. But we're being led by a superstar in Jalen Brunson. I can't wait to see the type of season that he puts together. And I'm praying for continued health for him because I know that he's going to build it and elevate it another notch once the playoffs hit. This man he is locked in on winning. And if you're doubting that, you don't have to look any further than the tournament game, I believe, that we had, the first game against the Charlotte Hornets. And there was that play where there was a loose ball on the floor. You know, and Mitch kind of knocked it loose, but he wasn't in a position to jump on the floor or whatever. Who did? Your point guard. Dove on the floor fighting for that rebound as if it was like the last 30 seconds of the game to get possession of the basketball, and we were down by 1. That's the sense of urgency that you could see through the screen when he dove on the floor. Bro, when I saw that, I immediately said, this tournament matters to players here in the NBA. It matters to players. It's competitive. And it's genius. I did a video over the summertime saying, when everybody else was like, I don't understand this is a waste of time, I said, this is genius by the NBA. because the NBA has found a way to make teams and players play harder. They found a way to make them care. There is no dog days of the early season. There is no, I'm going to turn it on after the All-Star break. There's none of that. Everything matters. Everything matters now. And when Jalen Brunson, being the leader of his team, dove on the floor for that, like he was serious. It matters. Point differential now matters. So all you cats, it's so funny. I'm laughing because it seems to me like what the NBA is doing, it's catering the style of play now to Tom Thibodeau type of systems. You ain't following me? Follow me on this one. Everybody was talking about Tom Thibodeau when the New York Knicks seemed to apparently lock in a victory. Yo, why do Tom Tibbs always keep the players out? Bench the players, put them on the bench, take them out before they get injured. Y'all always scared. Y'all really always scared. It's like, yo, if nobody has anxiety, you are the ones that transfer your anxiety on somebody who isn't even affected by anxious thoughts or anxious feelings. But because of you, you're making everybody else skittish. Okay? Now you see it. You see now when Tom Thibodeau keeps the players out there, yeah. You keep them out there. We gotta the level of scoring matters now in the tournament rankings, because a tiebreaker could be the amount of points you scored. All of it matters now. All of it matters now. And it's so funny, a few games back, I don't know if y'all picked up on this, and I was going to say this about Julius when I got to Julius, but I'm going to say this anyway. The reporters asked Julius Randle, hey, do you have any thoughts on why Tom Thibodeau kind of leaves you guys out there while it's clear that the other team is defeated or whatever have you? They may have replaced their starters. He leaves you out there. Julius Randle said to him, he was just like, he said, yeah, coach, that's just coach. Coach wants to make sure he secures the win. He said, there was one time, and I don't know if he said it or the reporter mentioned it, and then Julius responded to it. He said, but there was one time that Coach Tibbs was part of a team that lost a 13-point lead or lost the game within 13 seconds, something along those lines. And he said, ever since then, Coach Tibbs he's not taking any chances. Ever since then, he's not taking any chances. And then Julius says, yeah. Your coach got some trauma he got to deal with. You know what I mean? He got to work through some trauma. He got some trauma. And I said to myself, every one of us should feel that way. Every one of us should feel that way. And I know the Knicks fans who are new. I know the Knicks fans who were born after the year 2000. Because it's all of you who are just like, why Tibbs keeping him out there? He's going to injure them, this, that. It's all you softies. I don't care. I don't care. Leave the comments below. Friend or foe, I want the smoke. All you softies who may have been born after the year 10,000, that's y'all talking about that. Because if you were born in the 90s, born and you were a fan of the team in the 90s, do you remember Reggie Miller, goddammit? Oh, you only got to look as far as last season with Luka. So y'all can sit on y'all couches all you want and say what you will about Tom Thibodeau leaving the starters in for too long. Tom Thibodeau's job, not your job. Tom Thibodeau's job is based on wins in this league. And that man is going to do anything that he can to ensure that he leaves with a victory. He's going to ensure that he leaves with a victory. You all should have a sense of trauma. We ain't won nothing yet. The moment we can be like, I'm going to pull these starters and reserve them, should be never if you wearing an orange and blue uniform with New York across your chest. It should be never. That's some Hollywood stuff. That's some LA Lakers stuff. But if anything, if there's ever a time in which you can even at least try to consider that, is maybe 4 years from now when a lot of our team is starting to get the injuries after playoff championship battles. and we got a few rings on our fingers, or at least one ring on our finger, that's when I would be like, okay, I'd consider it. And apparently at that time, we'll probably have a new coach, because Tom Thibodeau ain't doing that. So check yourselves when you talk about Tom Thibodeau and this, that, and he leaving him out there too long. What are you talking about? Well, you can't talk about it now because it matters. It matters in terms of the tournament and the positioning and where you are when that time comes for the playoffs to come around for the tournament, which is soon, which will be pretty soon. I believe December. Okay? So the bacon of the game goes to the Brundertaker. Round of applause for the Brundertaker, y'all. Now, who is the egg of the game? Who is the player that is the egg of this game? And that goes to Dante Inferno DiVincenzo. We're going to give the egg of the game to Dante. Dante, bro, has stepped in and really, provided a different look and a different dimension to what it is that we do. Okay. One thing I was super excited about when we got Dante DiVincenzo, I was not excited, but I wasn't overly excited for or against him, because I wasn't quite sure what he was until I did my research. So once I started to research him and see the style of play that he played, and started hearing the interviews, I heard how Steph talked about him. I heard how Brunson talked about him. I heard how Hart talked about him. Then I started watching his highlights, and I was just like, ooh. You know what? He does what Grimes does. He's scrappy on the defensive end, but Grimes is a more polished defender. But DiVincenzo doesn't give up. He's a pest on the defensive end. He has 3-point shooting ability, but he has experience in the league. Grimes has the 3-point touch, but he doesn't have that experience yet. So that's where DiVincenzo has the edge right now, where he's having these type of games where he hits 7 3-pointers in a game. Okay? Also has the ability not only to shoot the 3-point shot, but versatile enough with his handle that he can drive to the basket if he wants to. And he's good around the rim, finishing around the rim. Okay? And they both got a little bit of bounce to them. Okay? So, to me, what that screams out is the depth. All right? And let me stop y'all. Please, let me stop y'all here. Those people who are in constant attack mode in terms of giving Grimes his spot away. Listen, to be a player that young and to be in a starting lineup that a Tom Thibodeau team is coached by, listen, that is his guy, okay? But let the season play out the way it's supposed to play out, please. Okay, let the season play out the way it's supposed to play out. If Grimes is taken out of the starting lineup, it shouldn't be looked at as a demotion, as one person is better than the other, okay? Because Quentin Grimes will be a starter in this league. Just like if IQ chooses, he will be a starter in this league. They are that quality level of player with that quality level of potential. Who will Quentin Grimes be in year 5? If we're looking at the impact that RJ is having on the team right now, who will Quentin Grimes be in year 5? So stop making it look. One thing I really hate about Knicks Nation sometimes, man, is we always putting players against each other. Yo, we wearing the same color jersey. It's always either Obi or Julius, Quentin Grimes or DiVincenzo. You know what I mean? Like, Cats is always putting somebody playing against each other. When I first got here, he started playing some games. Or maybe we need to bench Mitch. But what are we talking about? What are we doing here? We got to stop that. But let's enjoy the fact that we got depth on this team. And enjoy the fact that we're not looking like a lot of other teams in this league. We're looking at a competent organization who made strategic moves that we're seeing unfold now. And we have cohesion, and we have chemistry, and we have a culture. Okay? Dante DiVincenzo, this man at 25 points on 7 out of 10 shooting from behind the arc. He also was able to chip in with 3 assists and 3 steals in this game. And what I love about it is when he was interviewed, he said something that was outstanding, and it was deep. He said, "I'm the only new guy here. So my biggest challenge is coming in and not stepping on toes and really not trying to do too much, but not doing less than what I know I'm capable of. It's like finding a little bit of a balance." And they said, "Well, what do you like about this team? What stands out about this team?" He said, "What I love about this team is that everybody knows each other. Everybody's been together. I'm the only one that has to kind of come in and figure out where's the best position for me to play." And to me, I love the fact that he said that, because at the beginning of the season, I was one of the only people who said this, that the only thing that I'm nervous about in terms of the start of this season with this team, it wasn't the fact that we didn't make major moves, all of that. I was fine. I said at a certain point as well, I'm fine moving forward with who we have, because the biggest free agent that we have is the consistency. That's an important piece to team sports, and especially when you got good players, a good team together playing together becomes a great team. But one thing I did say I had concerns about was when Obi Toppin got traded, because when Obi Toppin got traded, he was one of the players that was one of our young players. It was a situation where he had kind of a little bit of beef with the coach back and forth about playing time. Back and forth about playing time. But also, when that happened and then Obi got traded, it left a little bit of energy, residual energy, a little bit of a funny feeling in the locker room. Because you got Julius, Tibbs' guy. You got Obi, IQ's guy. So it's almost impossible for the locker room to be a little bit fractured after something like that. Especially the fact that it leaked out that it was that level of sensitivity and intensity in the exchange between Obi and the coach. All right. So that's one thing that could have potentially fractured the locker room. Okay. The other piece about it is picking up DiVincenzo afterwards. Okay. So now what does that look like? Now IQ already is kind of like, all right, my boy's going. Y'all ain't afraid to move on from somebody. He was in the same situation that I find myself currently in, where you behind a starter who ain't going nowhere. So maybe I should now start looking elsewhere. And then I drop my number in terms of what I'm expecting in terms of my extension. And you let the deadline pass, so you don't re-sign me. And now you got this guard who comes in and he could fill it up a little bit. And he would be able to slide in to the role that I'm playing in the instance or in the case that you decide not to move on with me. So now what am I supposed to think? So now I should be like, okay, bet. You got rid of my boy and I see how y'all do business. So I guess this is a business. I thought it was family. I thought we was all family. We were just good just a week ago. But now I see you got somebody in who can kind of fill my spot. All right. So cool. So I got to be about my business. So that's another thing that I thought had the potential to strain that energy in the locker room. And then lastly, almost in concert with that, or maybe to piggyback on that point, is you got the Nova boys now. All right. Jalen Brunson's role and his kind of seat in the pecking order is on exhibit, because now he got two of his guys. So the front office is mindful to get the guys to keep the point guard happy, to keep your star happy, is usually how it works. So not only did they go out and get Hart, they went out and got DiVincenzo. And then they got Archie Diacono. You know who I'm talking about. You know what I mean? The one that doesn't play. So you got 4 of the players from that Villanova team, that championship team. All right? And to me, it's an outstanding move because you want players who have winning pedigree. We haven't talked about that much with the New York Knicks over the past few years. What they're doing is they're putting together players who have a winning pedigree. Okay? And you got players who have won a championship on the collegiate level. Okay? But it was those things. Once you got the Nova boys, then you got your point guard and some of his friends, and then you got the old guard. Our team is still new, but then you got the old guard who was here prior to them arriving. So I was always curious about how we would start out with the chemistry. And when we were shaky starting off, I knew exactly what it was. I said it was that. And we need to fix that as quickly as possible. Because and you know what, the way they're playing now, listen to what they're saying in post-game interviews. Listen to what they're saying. They're saying now that we're getting comfortable with each other. And it's they're not even saying the word trust, but that's what it is. When they say we're getting comfortable with each other, it's, okay, I see now that these new players are on the team, you haven't changed with who you presented yourself to be last year, Jalen Brunson. Okay, I see, even though we have these new faces on the table, Julius, you know, you're looking for me now. Julius, the other day, told IQ in the huddle, be who you are. You go out there and be who you are. That comes with trust. And if we reflect on a few years back, when Julius was being selfish, I got to do this all myself. There was an interview where he said he didn't know if other people could do it. He had confidence that he could make the shot. He wasn't really confident that those people around him could make the shot. The moment your trust starts getting to a heightened level, that's when you're just like, listen, we'll live with the outcome. If I don't got the shot and you got a better shot, I'm going to trust that you're going to make it. All right? So with Diacono, everybody now is starting to get comfortable. And he's starting to figure out where his spots are. He's getting a certain level of comfort in talking to his teammates about where they should be or if they missed the assignment or whatever have you. And that comes with being a champion. Because they could feel however they want. That man is the only champion in the room. He's the only champion in the room. He's the only one with jewelry. We all trying to get it. And he's a humble type of player. So shout out goes to Dante DiVincenzo for being the egg of the game, the only new guy, improving the New York Knicks depth and having a career high of 25 points, hitting 7 out of 10 3-pointers. Round of applause for you, my guy. Now, who is the cheese of the game? Okay, who's the cheese of the bacon, egg, and cheese? And obviously the cheese will go to our guy, Mitch Mother Flippin' Robinson. Man, I'm going to Mitchell Robinson, bro. What can you say, bro? What can you say? He really has put together a season like no other for him. Okay, the man right now is on the tips of the tongues of every opposing team's play-by-play announcers. So when I watch Knicks games, I try to watch it from the opposing team's broadcast first because I want to hear how they're talking about our team. I want to hear if they see our players like we see our players. Okay, in the last few times, whether I was watching Atlanta or I was listening to the Wizards broadcast, the last few times they say you got to put a body on this guy. This guy gobbles up every rebound. You know, we're going to pause for the rest of the show, okay? Because y'all a little ridiculous. We're going to pause for the rest of the show. But they really are intimidated by the fact that Mitchell Robinson is there and what it is that he brings. And what does he bring? The man is third all time now on the New York Knicks record books for for offensive rebound. He's third all time in the New York Knicks record books for offensive rebounding on a team that had Willis Reed and Patrick Ewing. And Dikembe Mutombo to a certain extent. And come on, man. Already Mitch is starting to etch his name in the record books. Okay? He had 11 offensive rebounds this past game. 11. Dominating. It's like he doesn't see anybody anymore. He's out there playing the game in his own zone. And I believe he had 3 blocks. And we don't know how many. They need to start keeping the stat of deflections and how many shots he deterred. They need to start keeping those records. Crazy. And then last but not least, I wanted to talk a little bit about 2 things. First off, the camaraderie that you see from our center room on the New York Knicks. When iHeart first got there, it was a little bit standoffish. And I said this in another video, and that's to be expected. Okay, there's somebody that comes in, and also, he's a dog too. But he has a little bit of an offense. He got that nice little push shot as a center. He probably could pop it from 3-point range, and he also plays scrappy on the defensive end. All right, it's a different dynamic. Once again, like I mentioned a little bit earlier, it was to the point that some Knicks fans was even questioning whether or not he should be starting. Okay, but they developed this connection. They developed this relationship that's palpable. You can see it even over the summertime, or maybe a little bit early in the summer, or maybe a little bit later in the summer and going into the fall. iHeart had a birthday, and I'm watching it on IG, and Mitch carrying the cake, knocks on his hotel door, just like, yo, my brother, bro, happy birthday, bro. And iHeart was genuinely surprised, bro. You know what I mean? Genuinely surprised. Like that, I love that, man. I love the camaraderie. I love the maturity. I love the fact that New York, they know they can't come into the paint without getting met at the rim. In the first unit or the second unit, there is no fall off. Don't even let us get to the third unit because we got Jericho in the perfect place. Jericho Sims and Deuce McBride are in perfect position to be developed. And one thing I love about it, man, nobody can say that about New York no more, that we don't develop our players. What are we doing? Mitchell Robinson, 52nd pick, 2nd round, raw talent. We developed him. He may be in a conversation about getting his first All-Star game, or making his first All-Defensive team, or possibly even Defensive Player of the Year. A 2nd rounder, developed in the cauldron, in the hottest spotlight in the league, in the Mecca. Deuce McBride coming in, in last night's game when we had those injuries and his confidence brimming, and he's moving out there like he's not going to be pulled. I mean, I don't know, that aura just seemed like he knows he's a part of this team and their plans. Didn't skip a beat. I'm looking up and down the roster. I'm like, there are no strangers. To see Fournier get minutes and go out there and play freely like he did and put forth the effort that he was putting forth. Yeah, he's still a road cone, on the defensive end, but his effort was there. And yeah, he was putting up shots, chucking shots, and he was missing them. But shooters shoot. Shooters shoot. But his effort was consistent. And his professionalism is always consistent. You can't say what you will. He's a grown-ass man, so he's going to voice his opinion. You don't want him to be, Kevin Knox. Shout out to Kevin Knox. There's another video. That's not another video, but shout out to Kevin Knox. Once again, when you let players grow and develop, ladies and gentlemen, there's only a few who's going to come in with the level of talent ready to go for the NBA. And if they have it, then you get the Ja Morants, where with great power comes great responsibility, and they don't know what to do with it. Okay? Let them cook. Let these players cook, and when you let them cook, this is what you get. You get the Kevin Knoxes, you get the Cam Reddishes, you get the Obi Toppins, you're going to get the Mitchell Robinsons. Let these players cook. But I'm proud of Mitch. I'm proud of the fact that he has stepped up to the level of responsibility, and he wants to be a memorable, notable New York Knicks center. And whereas last year we were a little bit concerned because he was making some grumblings about not getting touches, he made the grumblings and he's starting to get touches now. Julius finds him in the paint, hit him with that bounce pass, and he's bodying people on a post up. I'm from the 90s. I love that. Because now it also shows that he's not afraid to go to the line. He's working on getting to the line, bro. Mitch is the epitome of Knicks culture at this point. Mitch is the epitome of Knicks culture. And on top of all of that, the man has come out and said, the level of loyalty that this team has showed me, I feel indebted to give it back. I feel indebted to run through a wall for them with the level of loyalty and support they've given me. Come on, man. That's Knicks culture. So shout out to our boy Mitchell Mother Flippin' Robinson, who is the cheese of the game. But before I drop the bomb for Mitch, I want to point this one thing out as well. The level of versatility he is as a defender. He could bang down low with the Rudy Goberts, and we're going to see that come Monday. Or he could float in between, and he could stay with his defender long enough, and he's long enough and agile enough to be disruptive to Wembanyama in the Spurs uniform, or to be disruptive and push and strong enough to push him off his spot like he did with Kristaps Porzingis. Everybody was trying to get rid of Mitch. All along, the same things that I just pointed out is what I've been talking about, what will separate us from every other team once Mitch gets familiar with this league. We got one of the most versatile defenders and dominant offensive rebounders in the game. Which is why I was mad when we had to trade Kristaps, because Mitch was here. And for the longest time, when we had an opportunity to possibly trade back for KP, that's the only reason I wanted to. Because I said if you put Mitch next to KP, that's when Golden State was dominating. And it probably wouldn't have worked for the first 4 or 5 years because their style was unguardable with the threes. But I said, maybe it shouldn't be a copycat league. We should create our own model and then watch the league copy us. And I said, I want Mitch next to KP so that we have the towers. All right. Come on. What better town to have skyscrapers in your lineup than in New York? So that's why I wanted those two to play together. But you can see with the level of, even at his size, the level of versatility to move laterally, to extend and play defense without fouling. That's the new super weapon for him. He's eliminated the number of fouls that he gets. And he's going to surprise you by hitting his free throws. You can't hack a Mitch. You can't. So let's give a round of applause for all three of our bacon, egg, and cheese. We got Brundertaker, we got Dante DiVincenzo, and we got money-making Mitch Robinson. Round of applause. So who's the dollar slice of the game? Who's been that stabilizing factor for us that has helped us get these victories and help contribute to us winning 6 out of 7 victories over the last 7 games? And the dollar slice has got to go to IQ. Round of applause for Emmanuel Mother Flipping Quickly. Ladies and gentlemen, I ain't even going to BS you. That game in DC was a thing of beauty. That game in DC is so funny. I heard one of the commentators say, with every shot that IQ makes, with every layup that IQ makes, you hear the ching-ching of a cash register. That man's going to make money. With every shot that he's taking and making, he's making money. And he couldn't have been any more right. Emmanuel Quickley is playing with a level of confidence that I haven't seen him play with since he's been in the league. IQ is confident in the relationship he has with Tom Thibodeau. IQ is confident in his skills at point guard. He is no longer tentative. He is no longer shaky with his handle. He dribbles in and out with one hand when he needs to. He stops. Like, he's herky-jerky with his style. His floater is up there. He mixes it up. He has a nice little mixed bag of offensive moves. He's long. He plays defense. IQ is like, listen, this is what it is. I could dominate. The last thing that was missing for him was just the eye of the tiger, because when IQ came into the league, his spirit, his happiness, and his joy for the game was just effervescent. You know, it bubbled in. He always had a smile for the play. He played with joy. Now the man plays with a chip on his shoulder, and he plays to make sure he secures his family's stability and security for their future. But he plays with the spirit and energy of New York, which is absolutely why we got to keep him. And I'll be the first to tell you, I made a video where I was just like, I don't see him staying. I don't see him staying. I see him wanting to start. But I tell you this much. The way this chemistry is, and Kristaps will tell you, Kristaps mentioned it recently in one of his interviews prior to being traded to New York, being traded to Boston. He said it. He said, I underestimated the league, thinking every place in the league was like New York. I underestimated that feeling that you got to play for a team, because I thought every place in the league was going to feel like that feeling that I got when I played in front of New York fans in New York City. And it could be some of that with IQ as well. I think IQ's heart 100% is in New York. I think he wants a role. I think he wants his role to be prominent, and it will, and it is in New York. I just think he wants to be paid as a starter to play the role that he knows he probably could elevate from, similar to Jalen Brunson. And that was my argument. My argument was that IQ doesn't have to look any further than Jalen Brunson to see the blueprint for where he can go. And everybody who is a Knicks fan don't have to look any further than Jalen Brunson's situation to see how Dallas messed it up by not extending him and allowing him to get to the point of restricted free agency and then losing him to the New York Knicks. But IQ and his play in Washington was crazy. And his mom's was there. Come on, man. You know the man was going to show out. He was going to show up and show out, and he did. 3-point shots, middies, right? Turnarounds, floaters from every angle on the floor. The man was in his bag, and he couldn't be guarded. He couldn't be guarded. Okay, a little bit of Boston right there. The man was on his bag. He was in his bag. And he's been in his bag all season. It's so funny because if we reflect on, what was it, the Boston game, or was it? It could have been the Wizards game or Charlotte. Whatever. The game that he scored 27 points. I think it was Wizards in front of his mom Dukes. You know he was going for 27 because Obi had 27 the other day. You know he was going home to talk to his boy because his boy called him up and he was just like, yo, I see you scored 27. You breaking out. You know what I mean? When I saw he was close to 27, I said, IQ going for that 27 because he's going to be calling his boy like, yo, you see what I'm doing? You know? So that's another thing that I think really woke IQ up. You know, when his boy got traded and DiVincenzo kind of came in and made him seem like he was replaceable. But there's another thing that stood out. There's another thing that stands out about IQ as well that makes me really think, you know, he's taking it to another level for a reason. Tyrese Maxey. his brother from Kentucky, Tyrese Maxey. You clearly see what Tyrese Maxey is doing. And I know IQ looks at that and says, that should be me. That's, as a starter, I'm much more explosive, or I was at least. And I got to go back and look at the numbers at Kentucky, because I may be talking, I may be talking reckless right now. But from what I remember, it was IQ who was the impact player, and Tyrese Maxey was playing from behind him, And I think he looks at Philly and sees the success that Maxey's having in Philly, and I think he sees that for himself. I think he sees the bag that Maxey either got or will get, and I think he looks at himself like, ain't no way that I don't get paid or get the opportunity to show my talents and skills if this man is doing it and getting a chance to get his talents and skills, and looking at him like, oh, I know I'm better than him. I just don't have the opportunity to show it. Similar to Brunson playing next to Luka, like, listen, I think I got a game that can go to another level. I just think Luka's game doesn't allow me to do it. So IQ, man, he's been a stabilizing factor for us this season. That's why he is the dollar slice. And I think he's going to get his money. I think they may look to give him, a contract that also has conditions and maybe some perks in it. With every milestone he hits, he can get a couple more million. But he's going to get something maybe close to definitely more than what Hart got. He's definitely going to get a contract that's more than what Hart got. And I hope he does. And I hope it's with the Knicks. Because before, where I was a little bit shaky about it, I'm clear now. IQ needs to stay in New York Knicks. Okay? So round of applause. New York round of applause for our guy IQ. We got 3 items left on the menu, and I'm going to tie this thing up. The chopped cheese. Who is the chopped cheese of the game? Okay? Chopped cheese of the game goes to Julius Randle. Round of applause for our guy Julius Randle. Chopped cheese. Relatively new to the game, but that thing be busting. And we're just going to talk about what's relatively new in terms of Julius. It's just his altruism. Okay? Like, Julius is different. Julius, you can tell now, trusts his team that he's playing on. There's certain moments where he is selfish, all right? And I can tell you exactly when those moments are. We've seen them already this season, where it seems like, yo, pass the ball, Julius. Why are you doing this? Why are you taking all these difficult shots? Even if you're making them, what's going on with you? Julius does that on several occasions. He does it anytime he plays in front of Dallas or Houston, because he's from Texas. So he's going to have to show up and show out. He probably done purchased tickets for family and friends. So that's when you can expect Selfish Julius to show up. Another time you expect Selfish Julius to show up is when he's playing against Kentucky people. Shout out to my guy, Raw Hebrew Remnant. He mentioned it recently on his show. And anytime the Kentucky boys are across from him, he's going to get the ball. He wants to show out and try to prove himself. Next is when he faces the Lakers or the Pelicans. Okay, the Lakers, because they're the team that traded him. So they didn't trade him. I'm sorry. They're the team that let him walk because LeBron was coming on in. So anytime he's playing against any of those young boys, like we played against Washington, there was Kyle Kuzma. There's no way he was going to let Kyle Kuzma cook him, in Washington. So he got to show out against any of his young boys from, if Lonzo was still playing, I'm sure every time he played Lonzo, he got to show them. Okay? So that's another thing. And another point that I want to raise when it comes to that is the technical foul shooting. I know I'm not the only one. I know I'm not the only one brimming with frustration when this ninja runs his little tail to the free throw line to take shots for technical fouls and misses them, okay? And that's the piece where the selfishness is not, in my the way I'm using it, it symbolizes a negative. But in his mind, it doesn't symbolize a negative, okay? Keep in mind, this man's mentor was Kobe Bryant. He was Kobe Bryant's rook. You know, when he got drafted into the league, you know, he had the broken leg. Kobe motivated him through that. You know, Kobe constantly talked to him. When he came to New York, he stayed in his ear. That was Kobe Bryant's rook. So when you see a player like Kobe who's looking around, I mean, he tells the story about Kobe coming in saying, yo, these cats are making me worse. I'm not passing to them if they're terrible. The only thing about Julius's mind is Julius actually thinks he's on the level of a Kobe. But he's doing the same lessons. He's incorporating the same lessons from what he's seen, the same behaviors from what he's seen Kobe do, he's doing here in New York. He just doesn't realize he's not Kobe. So that's where he kind of gets a pass. And he gets a pass because just as equally as he may not have the talent, there's lessons that he pulled from being able to see Kobe Bryant, you know, play up close and play with him and play next to him. You know what I mean? Like there is benefits that come with that. And we've seen Julius. Let's not discount how great Julius has been for us in reviving this organization. So you got to give him props. I got to give him props, but he needs to stop taking the technical fouls, because where it reveals itself to be negative and selfish for me is it seems like he's point stacking. You know what I mean? You know how like somebody is they'll throw the ball up and hit the backboard just to get the rebound? That's what it seems like to me. Like anytime a free throw is out there, it bumps Julius's average up. And because he is the quote-unquote star of the team, I think he is taking advantage of that power to be able to say, I'm taking a shot, I'm taking a shot. And at this point in time, Jalen Brunson is not going to argue with him because he needs that mental health to be right for Julius. So he'd be like, oh, okay, knowing that it's 50-50 every time Julius is going to the line. Now, we've been ahead in these past few games, but in the playoffs, they better say something. IQ or Jalen Brunson should be going to the line, not Julius Randle, not RJ Barrett. Okay? Damn sure. Hell no to Mitchell Robinson. Should be IQ or Jalen Brunson. If they're on the floor, they go to the line. But outside of that, man, I mean, Julius gets all the props, man. As the chopped cheese, he gets all of the props. I'm proud of him. I'm proud of his work. And I think he's really going to be central to what it is that we do and any success that we have. So round of applause for Julius Randle. Now, lastly, before we get to the final two, lastly, is the quarter water of the game. Who gets the quarter water? And we're not going to delay that. We're not going to be dramatic. It's RJ Barrett. So shout out to RJ Barrett. RJ Barrett was able to play the last game after being off for a few games. We know that one of those games he suffered a little bit of irritation to his knee. This happens when you play, so much basketball, and he also played basketball over the summertime. So we really, it's to be expected. Somebody pointed it out, and I remember it as well. Patrick Ewing was icing his knees every night. He played 15 years on bad knees. So it is something that some players can have a level of tolerance in terms of pain tolerance to tough it through. But I just don't want to see that from RJ as a guard at this point. I don't want to see that from him. So I was just hoping that it wasn't a residual effect of the knee injury. But Tom Thibodeau, when he was asked about it, and RJ came out and played, scored 15 points. So you always love RJ's heart. But Tom Thibodeau said he wasn't like he was feeling sick. So when he talked about nausea and feeling sick, like those are key words that hit my ear that absolutely connects to a migraine. So I was happy to hear it was natural when he was responding to the reporters when he said the sickness. I don't know what it was, but something, he came down with something in the sickness. So I was just like, okay. So it wasn't like he just kept saying migraine. He mixed in some language where he was talking about symptoms of migraine headaches. And then even with RJ on the floor, I think he had the hoodie on, just covering his eyes, the sensitivity to light. All of those signs insinuated or alluded to a migraine that RJ was experiencing. Or it could have been a concussion. Sometimes when you play basketball, whether it's you take a shot while trying to drive the basket, it could be remnants of concussion protocol. And they probably didn't want to say anything because it would cost them games. So, look, I'm just like you guys. I'm trying to figure it all out. What I am happy about is that it wasn't the knee. And that RJ kind of came in and really toughed it out. 15 points. Just a few more points on RJ, man. Once again, I'm at this point now where I'm sold on what I'm seeing. He still has to perform in the playoffs, because I was sold on what I saw in the playoffs run last year. But he's yet to put a good, solid season together in the regular season as well as the playoffs in 1 year. So that's the piece that I'm going to hold him to as well. But this year's RJ is different. His shot, he fixed it. He absolutely has fixed his shot. He's walking with a level of confidence that doesn't look like he has legs. It looks like he's floating everywhere he goes. That's how high his confidence is. And I love seeing it. And this is saying a lot about RJ because RJ is already a confident player. He was from the moment he stepped foot into the NBA. But he's different this year. He's absolutely different. And you can see it. It's dripping all over him. You can see it. My question is if it's sustainable. If it's sustainable throughout the duration of the regular season and if it's sustainable throughout the playoffs. So I think we will see. But the quarter water of the day goes to RJ Barrett. Round of applause, Knicks Deli, to RJ Barrett. All right? And I'm gonna begin to tie this up. I've already been on here for an hour. Who gets the Glizzy of the game? Okay?
Hey, yo!
Who's going to get the Glizzy of the game? And the Glizzy of the game goes to, Denny Avdia from the Washington Wizards. Shout out to your boy, Avdia. Denny Avdia, in the Washington Wizards. His post-game comments, he talked about Knicks fans chanting, "Let's go Knicks" in the arena. And he says, culturally it's just annoying, And he said, I stare down the Knicks fans or whatever because, it should never be like that. You're right. You're right. He gets the Glizzy of the game because we've been doing this forever. This ain't just this season. We've always traveled well to DC. Even when they were good with Beal and John Wall. We've always traveled well to DC, to Charlotte, to Orlando, to Dirty Jersey. Knicks fans have always represented their team in those arenas. But if nothing else, this is what it has reminded me of. Okay, so Glizzy of the game goes to Denny Advia. We're going to get past that. But I could see the hurt in him when he was making those comments. I could see that he felt disrespected. And he talked about playing in Europe, and he said that would never fly in Europe. Our fans would always show up in our arena, and they should be chanting our name in their arena, and it helps support. I could see the hurt. And what it was, I could see us 5 years ago. When I'm looking at that player talk about how disrespected he felt, that he hears Knick chants in his arena, I saw us. And then it made me think, in watching them, and watching a team like Charlotte, and watching a team like Detroit, and watching, listen, the New York Knicks have now ascended to a level where we no longer resemble those type of teams. Organizationally or team-wise, or even coaching-wise, we don't resemble those teams anymore. We're even to the point where we don't have the controversies. Like, the media talks about us being boring. You know, there's nothing that leaks out in terms of trade rumors. You know, everybody gives the Tom Thibodeau response to questions. There's no salacious headlines anymore. The moment we kicked out the media and Stephen A. Smith ain't talking about, oh, I'm boys with such and such and such, is when we begin to stabilize our ship. We don't got nobody choking players out or opposing players out. We don't got nobody swinging on somebody else. You know, we don't got nobody sleeping with IG models. I mean, they probably sleeping with IG models. We don't know that. But you know what I mean? Like, we don't got nobody impregnating IG models and they're part of the firestorm or sounding discord. That's not in New York. A place that you should expect that to be. It ain't there no more. We are not like them. They are not like us anymore. This is why I laugh when people talk about, oh, we need a new coach, this, that, and the third. Listen, bro, like, yo, everything matters. The coach, the front office, the pulling and stepping out of the way of the owner, all of that counts. These specific type of players, and not necessarily a superstar, all of this is contributed to the good state, the healthy state of the organization that we're in right now. All of it has contributed to the health of this organization. There is no Jordan Poole on our team. There's no Jordan Poole, bro. Do you see the body language of Jordan Poole when we played them? Some people, listen, they got clips of him not even listening to the coach in the huddle. And didn't they give him the extension to be the face of their league? He's going to be traded in no time. I put the little bit of a funny side-by-side with him and Jimmy Early from Dreamgirls. Talking about pop the pop, pop that the beat that, pop the pop, pop it that the beat that. Jimmy got soul. Jimmy got soul. Yo, but he looks depressed, bro. Like he does not want to be there. And he's not hiding it. His reputation in the league is not any better. Coming from, I mean, he was the one that was victim of a punching in the Warriors, but he was shipped out. So you got to think there's some onus. Like, he was supposed to be the next in line for Steph Curry's spot, especially after his contribution to that championship, where both him and Andrew Wiggins were side by side talking about, you gonna get the bag. No, you're gonna get the bag. Oh, you're gonna get the bag. Oh, we're gonna get. No, you're gonna get bagged and traded. That's what you're gonna get, bro. There's none of that in New York. There's none of that of New York. Be proud of your squad, bro. Your organization. Say what you keep saying about Tibbs. Tibbs was supposed to be an antiquated coach that couldn't connect to young players 5 years ago or 4 years ago, whatever it was he came here. Everybody was just like, everybody knows what the team needs more than the front office. Nobody's going to want to come play for Tibbs. Listen, the moment we stopped star chasing and we started drafting and developing and piecemealing and looking at and then creating a culture and letting players know you don't run this organization. The front office does. So players can't overstep the front office and go to the owner and make decisions. LeBron James. Why do you think he left Miami? Because he couldn't cede control from Pat Riley. Pat Riley was just like, you done lost your mind. That's the only reason why I left New York. Is to get power of decision making. And when LeBron wanted to kind of put his hands in that pot, Pat Riley was like, there's only one cook in this kitchen. And LeBron James hightailed it out of there. He's going to every organization where he could put his hands in a pot and determine what moves are made. That doesn't happen in New York. We saw it with Obi. We're going to try to place you in a situation that's going to be to your benefit. But we ride with the coach. The coach's decision goes. 4 years ago, y'all was saying like this man is antiquated. He's a dinosaur. The league has passed him by. Here he is with a team that is primed to not only compete in the playoffs, but with the right breaks. I'm already on record. I don't care what you hear other people say. All these people saying now in the next few years or whatever, the Knicks are going to win the championship. I said it last summer that the New York Knicks will win a championship in 2024 based on the way that the New York Knicks organization is moving and piecing together this team. It was similar to how Golden State Warriors did with their team. I made a video about it. I'm on record saying it. Don't let it come true. Don't let it come true, because I'm pulling out all receipts. All of these overnight psychics. Stradamus has been here. And I ain't going nowhere. So, for the most part, y'all, that's all I wanted to get at. I'm telling you, man, like, the way this season has unfolded, it reminds me of what you would watch when you're watching a documentary of a team on their way to a championship. Think about it. Think about it. With Obi Toppin and that drama, and him, going on to a better place for him, and us bringing in, a Dante DiVincenzo, and then the drama surrounding IQ's contract and whether or not we keep him, whether or not we let him go, and then the Nova Boys, us getting a point guard who has a winning mentality and a high IQ, who is a reflection of the coach on the floor, and then we get players that play roles. Like, these are players that can hit big shots in big time moments, whether it's in the regular season or the playoffs. All of this reads like a movie script. And every one of the tasks, and Julius finding the right level of peace and talking about trusting his teammates, and thank you for listen, all of this reads like a movie script that ends with the championship. And the documentary of the New York Knicks' path to the championship down Broadway. This is what it feels like. This is what it feels like. And I'm telling you, 2024, I was saying it. And my reasoning for that, I did the video. Go see the video. How the New York Knicks are the Golden State Warriors, and will win a championship in 2024. I did that video last summer. But I'm telling you, it just feels different. It feels like something is happening right now. And I'm here for it. So, next game we have is against Minnesota. Once again, I think it's a big game. I think the New York Knicks will pull out the victory. But it's a big game for several reasons. You have Anthony Edwards, who had a chance to play with Jalen Brunson with the Olympic team. And one thing I absolutely loved about our players playing in the Olympics is you develop connections and relationships with other players across the league. And Anthony Edwards is a cocky player. He's a confident player. But by the time that summer ended, he was calling Jalen Brunson the head of the snake. He was, even though his game, ultimately they switched and leaned into him as a scorer for that team. But his level of respect for Jalen Brunson had obviously ascended. So I'm looking forward to that, because I keep saying the Brundertaker is taking names. You ain't got to be a point guard. You could be any guard, where they may look at it and say, when this guard went up against this guard, who left out of there victorious? So I'm looking forward to see the type of performance that Jalen Brunson puts forth now that there's another star guard that's going to be on the floor as well. Also, it's the RJ versus Anthony Edwards conversation. For several reasons. First and foremost, because RJ was the one that knocked them out of the Olympics, and he got the bronze. So that's one. But also, secondly, the comment that Anthony Edwards made when he was a rookie in this league, talking about we wanted RJ to take that shot because we knew he wasn't going to make it, or something along those lines. And RJ said, I'm going to take that shot every time. Thank you. Okay? So I'm looking forward to this matchup simply because of the RJ Anthony Edwards dynamic. And lastly, I'm looking forward to this matchup because it's East versus West at the center position. We got Rudy Gobert. who is Defensive Player of the Year. You know what I mean? Like, he's solidified in this league. And we have Mitch, who's on a come up, who is now starting to earn the respect. This is just another matchup with another style of big man, and I'm curious to see how Mitch responds. All right? So, folks, that is it. That is Knicks Deli. I want to thank you for taking the time and joining me. It's been an hour and 14 minutes of joy for me today. It's Sunday, a major project is off my plate, so it has allowed me to be free of mind and conscious to get on here and spend time with you guys. Always love your support. Do me a favor, like this video, subscribe to this video, share this video, and also any donations is always appreciated when you hit the chat or the little donation button. But keep this in mind, man. Out here in these YouTube streets, everybody eats. I'm out. Peace.